Oh, sorry. Oh man, I was in the wrong window. I didn't even see we were live. Oh my god, I screwed up again. Two in a
What do
row.
you mean? What do you mean?
I
Like,
pressed. I
we've
pressed start.
happened.
Yeah, I pressed start stream on OBS, and then I was still looking at OBS. I'm like, why am I not seeing the live indicator? And I was like, oh, because that's in the other window. So I had to like jump over to YouTube, and it was already live. Okay, pretend that
Nice.
happened. We'll edit it in post, and we won't. Um, good night, everybody. It's 9:30 on the East Coast, 6:30 on the West Coast. Time for your weekly Calamity Jane live stream. James, how are you on you this late summer evening?
I'm doing just great. So, how are you?
I am doing fine. We're about to get hit by the remnants of Ida,
Oh
so we're
yeah.
looking forward to a ton of rain tomorrow, and I could not be happier. Because I love rain and I love it. It's going to cool it off a little bit. It's been pretty much above 90 something degrees in Atlanta every day for the last 4 months, and I am dying.
Huh.
So,
Um, and it's all because it's been muggy over there, right? Nothing.
it's so muggy. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's good. Well,
So,
congrats. Hopefully, you guys just don't get too much drenching because other parts of the country, obviously, on the news, it seems like some people really like in Louisiana, I guess, are really bracing for like the second
oh, I
worst
know. I'm not trying to
in history.
like. I wouldn't. Yeah, no. I'm not
Oh
trying to
yeah, yeah, yeah.
undermine. Like they got hit hard. Apparently, parts of New Orleans are going to be out without power for weeks.
But so
Um,
Georgia doesn't go through that type of a scenario with their
every
storms
once in a
anymore.
very blue moon.
Hmm.
We I remember when I was a little kid, the Hurricane Opal came through. And this is, I mean, look it up. Opal was like in 1992, 93, something like that. It was a long time ago.
Okay.
Which is weird to think, but it was now. And um, and it was a really nasty storm. It was a big enough hurricane, and it came over the eastern seaboard, right? Now Atlanta is pretty far inland. It's not a coastal city by any stretch of the
Okay.
imagination.
Uh-huh.
But this was such a powerful hurricane that it was still a tropical storm when it finally came over Atlanta. And it was apparently insanity. I say apparently because I slept through all of it.
Oh my gosh.
So
Wow.
I slept through the whole thing, and I woke up the next morning to my dad's voice saying, "You don't have to get up. There's no school today." And me going, "Why is there no school today?" And he went, "Are you serious?" Apparently, when the storm hit and it hit late at night, um, the electricity kept going on and off, which was triggering the doorbell to jingle every time the power cycled. The
Hmm.
dogs were losing their mind because there was thunder and lightning and wind. Branches were falling out of trees. My sister was like crying because of all the chaos. My parents were trying to decide if we should go down to the basement. Blah blah. It was apparently pandemonium,
Wow.
and I slept through all of it.
Wow.
Um, but it's a pretty rare thing um, to see happen, to have a storm of that strength hit Georgia. So, Ida's already hit Louisiana, and it's moving its way north at this point, and it's lost a lot of its strength. And so mostly
Hmm.
what we're gonna have is just a crap ton of water tomorrow, just a lot of rain, um, and and that'll be fine. And I'm not, and I love rain. I'm very happy about the rain. So
Yeah. I mean, here in LA, I think we're always itching for more rain. I mean, because we're
mm,
more. I don't know. I can't remember what our official status is. If we're in a drought or not, but sometimes I hear it passively, and I can't tell. Are we in a drought or not? Because as a human, I just see water coming out of the faucet, so I'm assuming everything's okay. But you
sure.
know what I mean? That's how we
Well,
are. So I like rain a lot too, but we don't really get it that much in Southern California.
no, no. But November's coming up, which is your rainy season. So
Yeah. So hopefully we get some of that
you
too.
get a little bit of it.
Yeah. If there's only a way we could invent the technology to disperse rain where it hits really hard, in some parts of the country, and we can just kind of distribute it over to where other parts of the country. But obviously that's
I mean, what I
not
hope.
being.
I mean, done a little bit of reading. There's some really promising tech being done on desalinization, like mass
Really?
desalinization, and like taking
Yeah.
seawater and converting it into potable water.
Yeah.
Um, I think that that's. I think that is the future.
Yeah. That'd be
Um,
nice.
because then we can draw water from the ocean, let the natural fresh water reservoirs refill, right? Because we're
Hmm.
not taxing them as badly as we have been. And that would be huge to find a way to do mass desalinization, and that would just
No, that'd
be
be
it
awesome.
would it
Yeah.
would and quite frankly, with the amount of water humans consume, I'm speculating that a positive collateral side effect is we would be consuming so much seawater, it might actually help mitigate the rising sea levels because of global
Yeah,
warming.
that's true. We could outconsume
We
it.
could outconsume global warming.
Well, we'll see. I mean, that'd be interesting to read about. Maybe I'll look that up, or maybe I'll get some links from me if you happen to have them handy. Um, that's cool.
um,
Um,
That
so
technology is still a
let me
way
switch
off, but
gears.
oh yeah, all
Let me,
right. There's a stream about Calamity Jane that we're supposed to be
yeah,
working on.
but not only that, but I'm gonna switch screens and kind of geek out with you a little bit. I'm gonna be a fanboy,
All right.
but
Well, let's.
finally, No
Oh
More
snap!
Heroes
It's here.
3
It
finally
happened.
came out. The
Yeah.
sequel to games that have been out for like 10 years. I know
11
we were
years
going to,
since No More Heroes
yeah,
2. 11
yeah,
years. Yeah.
yeah, beautiful, wonderful games, probably the
Yeah.
best games on the Switch. And then finally, because of your
I
reminder,
reminded you.
yes,
Yeah.
you told me this came out on Friday, so I went and bought it. And oh boy, I
Yeah.
am thoroughly enjoying the game.
Well, let's.
It's 10 years too long, but
Yeah.
hey, I am happy with the
Well,
game itself. And
let's.
I got to a point where I was raving to you, Eric.
I
And
know because I hadn't purchased it yet.
yes,
But let's get something other than our mugs on the face. Let's get something pretty that people want to look at on the screen,
sure.
and then we
Uh,
can talk about our experiences. Now, if you've tuned into our stream before, you almost have certainly heard us talk about No More Heroes because these are games that both of us enjoy and have enjoyed a great deal. And Suda51 is a creator who is um, he's he's eccentric. I think is a nice way of putting it.
yeah.
But that eccentricity has produced some very very wacky games, some of which are truly great. And No More Heroes, I definitely count among that number. Um, and a lot of it just has to do with, for me, that the whole thing is a send up of video game tropes and of video game nerd culture, right?
Yes.
It's a huge parody. It's very self-referential, taking the piss out of video games, right?
Yeah.
And I love it. I mean, it's because he understands sort of the hangups that video games get into and how self-serious they get at times,
Yes.
and he spins that into a really fun action beat 'em up game. One of the best brawlers I've ever played, frankly.
Wow. So that's saying a lot from you for saying it's one of the best brawlers you ever played. I myself, being a Souls fan
Yeah, so I'm
and
not. So yeah,
A Neo fan and Ninja Gaiden fan, all that stuff. I'm with you. I think to me, No More Heroes is probably my second or third favorite franchise of all time because of the combat system in it. I mean, it's so much fun to play. It's rewarding to play. I just get a lot out of just using that light beam katana, the thing that all of us children used to imagine playing with lightsabers gets to do with this game. I have a lot of fun with it. So,
but without all of the weird dogmatic religious aspects, it's just
oh yeah,
Travis
that's true.
Touchdown being an
Yes.
obnoxious otaku, but being infinitely lovable. I don't think this is a huge spoiler, but in 3, I'm on the second boss right now, and
Mhm.
the intro cutscene, they literally just break the fourth wall, where Travis and the villain are talking about the best way to highlight the villain's weak points because gamers love it when you highlight it in a particular way. And the villain is just like, well, I'll do my best. We'll see if I can match exactly what they're looking for. And then the battle starts. And they don't, he makes no attempt to contextualize it. He makes no attempt to make it like of the world. It's just that it's very much in the vein of Deadpool or
Yes.
She-Hulk or any of those classic kind of comic book aesthetic style storytelling where they break the fourth wall and they don't have to justify it, right? Or
Yeah.
more in more contemporary terms, Fleabag, right? Phoebe Waller-Bridge's Fleabag, where she's spiking the camera and speaks to the audience on a regular basis.
Hmm.
They don't try to justify it within the context of the story. Well, that's not totally true for Fleabag, but in any case, um, um, it's just great, and I love the fact that they don't try to contextualize it. I love the fact that they don't try to justify why all this is happening. It's just a part of the silliness of No More Heroes.
Yeah. Um, what's interesting to me about Travis Touchdown, the main character, is how yes, he breaks the fourth wall constantly, and he's pretty much a jerk.
Yeah. Oh
You
yeah.
know, he embodies all these things that are terrible with toxic type of culture, but yet he's likable.
Yeah.
And that to me, that's an amazing thing that Suda 51 has pulled off with writing this character, and that's why I love playing any of the games with him because there's something about even watching him get his butt kicked in the game or whatever. I still like I enjoy seeing him get his butt kicked and being humbled. Yet I still like seeing him win too because it's just so comical and bizarre and
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah. I mean,
And he has the magic sauce for his character that I rarely see in most characters, where they're usually on a soapbox preaching, or you know what I mean. And then no matter what their goal is, sometimes it comes across as kind of artificial, like. But something about Travis Touchdown. I mean, I don't know. You as a writer, I would have. I'm gonna. I'm curious if you've been. If you have some sort of breakdown of the ingredients. What do you think it
yeah.
is?
I mean, I think it comes back to the title of the game, No More Heroes, right? Like,
Mm,
at no point in the game is Travis presented as a, a without sin kind of guy. He's never presented as there's no save the cat moment for him. There's no point in any of the games where he does something noble to endear himself to the audience. And in fact, he relishes in his um, own, like, not villainy per se, but just I'm not a good guy, right? The premise of the first, well, all three games, frankly, um, are he gets into a ranking of assassins, and he's trying to reach the top of the rankings of the assassins. So it's the story basically, and it's deeper than that. As you get into it, there's always like subtext. There's always
yeah,
background that contextualizes it to a certain extent. But he's not trying to tear the workings of the Assassin's Guild apart from the inside. He wants to be the top of the rankings. He wants to
yeah,
be, the leader of the pack. And so, because of that, we're given the freedom to go along with him because we're not at any point trying to justify him as a noble figure, right? It's the same way. It's the same reason why. Is it Trevor? I almost said Trevor. The same reason why Trevor works in Grand Theft Auto 5.
mm,
He is hedonistic. He is narcissistic. He's a complete sociopath, and the game at no point ever asks you to judge him like a moral person, right? And so
mm,
as a result, you have permission to root for him in kind of a titillating, taboo kind of way, right?
mm.
And Larry David to a lesser extent in Curb Your Enthusiasm, right?
Yep,
Larry,
another.
yeah, exactly. Larry never asks you to like him, never asks you to think that he's the good guy, right? On the contrary, I suspect that he would say the character he plays in the show is not a good guy, right?
Mm,
Um, and so when you openly invite the audience to be a little bit of naughty and root for the bad guy for a while, then all of a sudden it makes it okay, right?
mm.
So Travis does all this despicable things, but you're still rooting for him because you've been given permission to. So, you know,
Do you think there's something there's something about how I guess it's the same. Maybe this speaks more to me as a person than anything else. But for example, out of the Looney Tunes, if I was to pick a Travis touchdown, it would be Daffy Duck because to me he's the most human of the characters. He shows greed. He shows he shows some kindness, but he's wacky. He does all these other kinds of things where, well, Bugs is I guess Bugs is kind of is very likable, but he never fails. He
yeah, but
never
I
has
think
pie on his
Bugs
face.
though. Yeah, but I think Bugs would
Yeah,
be fall into the category of chaotic good though.
yeah,
Ultimately, I mean, if
hmm
we're dropping into D and D,
yeah, yeah.
D and D kind of geek culture, I
It
would say
always
Bugs
helps.
is, yeah, chaotic good. I mean, I think it's a really apropos categorization for archetypes. Um, but yeah, I agree. I think Travis is most like Daffy, and
It's a weird it's a weird comparison. I know
yeah,
there,
yeah,
but
and it's chaotic evil, and chaotic
yeah,
evil, you good things can kind of come out of it as a result, right?
yeah.
Um, so yeah, um,
Um, yeah, and the other thing, I mean,
or
then you get also into the category
maybe
of
more like
anti-hero.
chaotic neutral, or
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
chaotic neutral. I think is more appropriate. But anyway, sorry,
Um,
getting really in the weeds on that one.
yeah, but let's get even more farther in the weeds. Like, we can go into anti-hero territory with the Punisher, for example, right? Well,
Sure.
he's very serious and and there is a purpose for what he's doing. So Travis is fall into an anti-hero category is exactly as I would say the Punisher.
Right. Well,
Um,
I mean, I don't think he is because he's not a tragic figure.
mhm.
We're at no point ever made to feel sorry for Travis. Right. Suda 51 is very clear about that.
Yeah,
And even in the opening moments of No More Heroes, you think that it's going to start that way, right? Because the
yeah,
first time we see Travis after that really awesome anime intro cutscene, which I loved,
uh-huh.
um, the first time we see Travis, he's in his boxers, his hair's disheveled, he's unshaven, he's
He's
got a
got a neck
neck
brace
brace
on.
on, right? And you're
Mhm.
like, oh, are we gonna do like a self-loathing thing? And then, nope. It just he like turns on the armor, and when the armor goes away, he's the Travis we know and love, right? It was
Yeah,
totally a bait and switch, an intentional bait and switch, right?
yeah,
Like, no,
yeah.
no, don't worry, this is still No More Heroes. So at no point are we made to feel sorry for Travis, like we are. Like, the Punisher is Frank Castle is a tragic figure, and
Mhm.
Travis is not a tragic figure, right? Um, and I just I don't see Travis as an anti-hero personally.
Yeah. Neither do he's a different brand of a character that you and I are kind of talking through. And you were saying, like I said, I think chaotic evil makes a lot of sense. I can't think of anything else where he would be. He can't fall in any other category if we're using D&D as a classification.
Right. I mean, he has no compunctions about killing people.
No.
He has no problems, leveraging people around him. I mean, I think in the third game, it twisted on its head a little bit because he has this protege now, and he has Bad Girl
Yes.
who's following him around, and he's
And
got
that's
this.
the only thing that throws me off,
Yeah,
actually.
right, and he's got this bond with Soul Bad Guy, and that is a bit of a departure from the first two games, right? Um, but to this point, it seems like, and again, I'm still pretty early. Uh, it doesn't seem to be slowing him down at all. It doesn't seem to be like he doesn't have any true remorse for it. Like there's nothing that has occurred since some of these beats that happen early in the game, but I don't want to spoil for people. It hasn't given him a moment of existential quandary. He's still Travis. He's still
Yeah.
mowing grass to earn enough money to enter the next ranking battle, right? And as the
Yeah.
player, you can go and visit these characters, but you're not under any obligation to. The game does not force you to in any way, shape, or form, right?
Yeah.
Um, so
And now, as far as the gameplay, so it's interesting. So before our stream started tonight, you were telling me how you were quote unquote stumped, and you hit the eject button on the particular boss. I mean, it was a couple of days open, but we're really on the second boss. So, Golden Joe, is that his name?
Gold
Golden
Joe
Joe.
or Golden Joe, I don't remember
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
So one thing I like about this, so to me, every installment of No More Heroes is special. Like you could play any of them standalone, and they're all really good in their own way.
yeah,
And this one, again, it's they managed to the Grasshopper manufacturer managed to improve the game in this aspect, which is difficulty will scale to what you need it to be. If you're stuck at like, because I when I started the game on Friday, I actually put it because I'm a masochist when it comes to games. I like playing in a hard mode, so I set on the hardest mode, and lo and behold, I got stuck on the first boss. Actually, I could
yeah.
not do anything about it. But there's a contraption, the roulette wheel right after your death screen, and you spin it around, and it lets you drop onto a certain face. But I noticed as I was playing it, like the roulette wheel slowing down. Now in hard mode, you only have two faces. You either have the bad guy the other, or his former self as a bad guy. Nothing else. I was like, I'm looking at it, going, wonder what this is all about. Why is
Hmm.
this roulette wheel here, and why is it slowing down? You know what? I'm gonna just humble myself. I'm gonna play it on normal mode and see. And then I was pleasantly surprised. Oh, the roulette wheel actually has different faces for every
Oh,
character.
interesting.
Yeah, and every time you lose and you fail, that roulette wheel will slow down a little bit, so you can stop on a character and explore what kind of buff you get. So, Eric, I know you didn't die enough. You only died like twice or
I know
something like
I
that.
only died twice, and I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm getting frustrated. I need to take a break. Yeah,
yeah. You need
yeah.
to suck more. You need to suck more like me, and then
Right.
you'll get rewarded for it. And that's the beauty of the game, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I also wasn't really feeling it. I don't know why. I just was like, I turned it on, and I just was not focused, and I was like, I wasn't in the right headspace to play games. Not No More Heroes 3 in particular, just games in general.
uh-huh.
And so I turned it off to just put some distance, and I watched some lockpicking lawyer videos. If you've never heard of
What?
that guy, yeah, it's this guy on YouTube, and he just has a channel. The only thing he does is he picks locks. That's it. There's like
So he
these.
just takes like little master locks and just
He's
does it on camera?
Yeah, he's a lawyer, and his hobby is lockpicking, and he's got a YouTube channel, and he's called Lockpicking Lawyer, and he's got the most soothing voice you could possibly imagine as
Wow.
he's picking locks, and it's. I'm not a huge ASMR kind of guy, but it's totally like an ASMR thing. Like I've fallen asleep watching his videos before, and that's a
Wow.
compliment. That's not an insult.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's really and it's actually really interesting too. And it's funny actually. I was at a party a couple months ago, and my friends were getting into lockpicking, and I said, "Have you ever seen?" And before I could even finish the sentence, I was like, "Yes, of course we've seen the lockpicking lawyer. Where do you think we
Man.
bought all of our tools?"
Wow.
So he's like really popular, but so yeah, I just wasn't in the right headspace for games. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna not get frustrated right now. I'm gonna turn it off, and I'll come back later.
Wow, interesting. Speaking of lock picking, like I in Last of Us 2, you can actually safe crack the actual safes to get your loot. You don't have to look for the hint at all if you just listen to the
Oh yeah,
barrels inside. It's really that's probably the most fun part of the game I enjoyed.
what's the safe
Yeah,
cracking?
sadly, was
Oh
safe
wow.
cracking, which is far and few between. But anyway, so that's interesting. You bring up lock picking. It's I guess it's
Yeah.
yeah, that's really
Well,
funny. It's kind of a thing.
yeah. Oh yeah. It's a big thing. I'm just happy that we can talk about a game that we're not like ragging on for a change, because it seems like for a while we were just I mean that we had that whole rant about the how disappointing The Last of Us 2 was for us.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I'm only using one sentence and that's it. That's a positive about it though.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's right. There you go. Hey,
yeah.
but no, I mean
But
you're much farther into No More Heroes 3 than I am. Um, I am convinced now that I've gotten the opportunity to drive around the overworld that it's an in joke.
yes, I think it
I
is.
don't because at this point, like,
It's insulting, right? It's almost
right, it's
insulting.
insulting. It's like I dare you to find this entertaining, right? And I just don't like the biggest criticism that everybody had about the first game was the unnecessary open world.
Yeah.
And and I feel like he's just going back to that. I mean, it's an interesting thing because he removed it from 2.
Yeah.
Desperate Struggle had exactly what it should have been, which was just a menu screen where you
Yeah.
pick from the list of mini games and things that you do, right? And it cuts out the middleman. And I feel like he wanted to go back, and he wasn't done with that joke. And he's like, you know what? The technology is better. I can make the world look better and still be incredibly annoying. And so I'm gonna do it. And so he put the open world back in, and I think also partly because No More Heroes 2 takes place in Santa Destroyed, which is the city from the first game.
Yeah.
And I don't think he had anything to contribute to the joke in the second game. So it was like, well, okay, that's fine. So we just dropped the gag and then, focused on other gags. But
Yeah.
since 3 takes place in a whole other location, and I won't go into more details, if you play the game, you'll figure it out, viewers. Um, I think he was like, okay, I can do more with this joke now. And so he brought back the tedious open world, which is actually a big just
Oh my gosh.
it's a prank. It's an absolute prank on
It
players.
is god awful. I was running through it and like it's it is one of the laziest open worlds I think I've ever seen. The amount of the same repeated texture maps,
Yeah.
even in Santa Destroy, you could look at anything and you just see it literally 3 feet later. Game feet
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
They didn't even try.
It's so funny.
It is
It's
so funny.
yeah. It actually is funny. It is. I would actually be disappointed if he really thought it was great, because obviously he doesn't. I mean, I've listened to interviews with Suda51. He loves video games. He lives and breathes video games. There's no way that he would hold up the open world, quote unquote, that he's created for No More Heroes 3 to a game like Grand Theft Auto or Saints
Oh, jeez.
Row, or
Yeah.
he's not. That's not. So clearly this was an intentional thing on his part, and I begin because No More Heroes 3 at its core is a parody of gaming tropes themselves. Unnecessary open worlds is a thing that video games do all the time,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so in that regard, it's absolutely an amazing joke, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm convinced that it was intentional. That this isn't just bad programming
Yeah. Um, yeah. With all that
or
being
bad
said,
design.
it's funny. Like when the game was coming out, people kept going, "Look how bad the open world looks!" Like I can't believe how bad it is. And I was myself, I was laughing. Like, why would you never play No More Heroes for the open world? Why would you do that?
Right.
Why would you care?
Right.
It's supposed to be completely and like they literally have two types of NPC.
Right. They have a
characters.
male and female character,
That's it.
and they just do palette swaps, right?
Exactly.
Like
Come on,
Yeah. No, it's not. It's yeah.
Yeah.
This is a game with a massive budget. Suda could have put together he could have hired every single person from Rockstar San Diego if they wanted to. I mean,
yes.
like if he wanted to, he could have made a really lush, beautiful open world, and he didn't. And
yes.
the reason why is because he was poking fun at the obsession with modern games and how every game has to be an open world when it really doesn't need to be. And in fact, all of the gameplay, and this is another reason why I'm convinced that it's a gag, is because none of the gameplay actually occurs in the open world. You get to a location that takes you to the minigame or takes you to a battle arena. So it's still a scripted, curated experience, but you just have to drive through this unnecessary open world. It's like Penn and Teller's Desert Bus video game that they made all those years ago, right?
I'm not familiar.
Okay, so they did a Sega CD game that was intentionally a bunch of intentionally bad games. The whole thing was just lampooning video games.
Okay.
And the most popular one was called Desert Bus, and the premise is you're driving from, it's either from Los Angeles to Las Vegas or the other way.
Okay.
And the bus can't go above 45 miles an hour, and it drifts slightly to the left, so you can't just put the controller down. So and it's the actual distance from Los Angeles to Las Vegas.
Oh my word!
And
wow.
driving the speed limit to Los Angeles and Las Vegas takes about 4 hours. So going 45 miles an hour, it's going to be like a 6-hour drive, right? And the only thing, it's literally looks like Rad Racer or Road Rash or any of those old types of games where it's, the road that goes into the vanishing point on the horizon, and then occasionally a desert cactus will drive by. Or scroll by, and that's it. And it takes 6 hours to do, and you can do it because it's really popular on like the marathon gaming charities. Have you heard of those where like people play games for 24 hours?
Yeah.
They will do a run of Desert Bus as part of the 24-hour marathon.
Well, that's cool. At least it's part of the lingo now.
You can beat Desert Bus, but it's intentionally bad, right? And because that's a part of the joke, and that's what the open world is. To me, with No More Heroes 3, is it's a part of the joke, right? In every aspect of the game is a gag, and why wouldn't the open world also be in on the joke, right?
Yeah.
And so now every time I turn it on, I laugh because I feel like I'm in on the gag.
Yeah, yeah. With all that being said, again, I didn't even, I wanted, maybe I'll even read about it next week, but to me, the combat system is top notch.
Oh yeah.
When you're actually playing the game and you're actually doing sword play, Like it's the first game where I don't mind leaving the camera alone and like just watching the beauty of the shot. You almost feel like you're a weird game, you're a weird director, like watching a fight scene, and you can actually, and because of the way the gameplay is set up with the pauses and the long slow mo with a lot of stuff, you just adjust the camera and check out things, look at the guy
Mm-hmm.
behind you. It is the best. It's the best fight system, period, of
Yeah.
any game I've ever played.
It's super
Um,
fun. It's not super punishing.
no,
You don't need to be hyper precise to be successful, though
yeah,
the more precise you are, the more successful you will be,
yeah,
right? I love that. Like, it gives you every opportunity for success. Yeah, it's a really, really very polished game. And it should be, given that it's the third iteration. But, even the first two games, like, they were just extremely well done games. And
yeah,
it uses motion controls intelligently too, right?
yeah,
It doesn't they're not superficial. They actually do have bearing on the game, but they're
yeah.
also not like so cumbersome that you just want to put the controllers down. Like, I just don't want to play this right now.
Yeah. I am curious. Are you playing with motion, like with motion control, traditional? Yeah,
I'm playing it the way I played 1 and 2 on the Wii.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's the way
exactly.
to play it.
Yeah.
What's funny is I didn't even realize that there was motion controls in it for number three. I thought they just quote unquote updated it for modern gaming, and
Right,
it's all.
right.
And I played with the controller. I'm like, oh, this is not that fun. Then I went to the settings and went, oh wait, you can actually, because I just skipped right past the first screen instructions, but you can play it with motion controls. Like I just reset the whole game from motion control, and I was right at home. And after
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
everything's so sad. Like when you're doing the side swipes, everything's
It
so
feels really
satisfying.
gratifying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, we
yeah.
could do a whole stream just talking more about the game, but we're already over 30 minutes at this point.
All right. Well, I'll recap real quick.
Yeah,
I
let's
mean,
let's
even though
recap since we do have like cartoon that we're
yeah,
ostensibly making while we're also doing this. And by the way, everybody who's watching this now or in the future, this is like literally what we do. This isn't like a special thing that we do for the stream. This
no,
is just how we create in general. Because here's the thing, and this is there is a method to our madness here, right? Because us dissecting the gags of No More Heroes and dissecting Travis Touchdown will synthesize that. Right? I mean, Calamity Jane is our own love letter to the cartoons that we loved growing up, right? Just like No
yeah,
More Heroes is a love letter to video games, right?
yeah.
Suda51 is making fun of video games, but he's making fun of games because he loves them so much,
He couldn't
right?
be. He couldn't make fun of them without having all that knowledge and playing all those games because he loved it.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely, right. And
yeah,
so there is a parallel between what he's creating and what we're creating, and the way, and this honestly, just to draw a parallel, and we're just gonna go over it. I'm not gonna worry about it. Last week we were talking about the bad cuts in He-Man
hmm
and avoiding those, but how do we go back to them and leverage them intentionally? Right,
yeah.
the bad cuts in He-Man, making it difficult to watch as a gag,
Is a
is the
feature.
open world, right? It's the open world of No More Heroes 1 and 3, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
so so while we're geeking out on this stuff, this is also stuff that just keeps getting added to our list to use elsewhere, right? Um,
Mhm.
and as they always say, good artists borrow, great artists steal. And I think that us synthesizing these things that we love in different mediums are a great opportunity to create more interesting stuff in our own work. So, and I'll get off my soapbox now. Let's review let's review what you've worked on tonight, so we can let people go home at a reasonable hour.
Yeah, makes sense. So tonight, I went into one shot, which is anything with the mayor, and I did two types of mouth packs. And if
Mm-hmm.
anybody happens to be watching, feel free to chime in or let us know. But you see here my sketch of the original mayor here, right?
Mm-hmm.
This side right here is what I ended up with. But I thought, I was going to revisit it and do one more take on the mayor's mouth pack.
Mm-hmm.
So now we have two types to look at. So I want you to look at this and tell me what you think. Which one do you happen to like more? Do you like the one on the right, or do you like the one on the left that I did tonight?
Hmm.
Um, there was something to me that was kind of charming about. Let me see here. There's one other shot towards the end here, like this. There's something about this shorter mustache that I kind of like.
Mm-hmm.
That makes it feel more like he's more innocent. I guess
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that's what it feels like.
Yep.
But the handlebar, this whole overdone handlebar thing is kind of fun too. But I'm right down the middle. What do you think, Eric? What are your thoughts? What's speaking to you?
I agree 100%. The smaller mustache is kind of cute, and it does give him a more innocent kind of look. But I like the handlebar mustache better
All right,
as an aesthetic design. Um, I mean, I could go either way. I think they're both great, and I think they
all
both
right,
are very of the mayor. I think he'd wear either version of it.
true.
I think don't lose the smaller mustache.
Yeah,
Um, this is like flashback episode time, and we flash back to Dry Gulch Gorge before Calamity showed up, and the mayor's got the shorter mustache. It's not fully grown in yet, right?
sure, sure.
I think both of these mustaches are mustaches that mayor would wear,
It could
but
also be an inside joke, Eric, where he does have this type of mustache. Other times he's a goatee, and other times
I
we could
mean,
kind of,
we could play around with that for sure too. Yeah, I mean that's
yeah,
definitely reasonable.
yeah.
Yeah, but I think for me right now, I prefer
The original.
the full handlebar. Yeah,
All right, cool.
but
Well,
again,
that's all
I
we got for tonight.
yeah, we're
Let's
gonna.
call it good.
All right, that sounds good to me. Well, good night, everybody. Thanks for letting us ramble on about a game franchise that we like a great deal, and
Yeah.
we will. Yeah, I'll be around next Monday. I'll be back from my trip by that point. So yeah, we'll see you next Monday. Same bat time, same bat channel. Stay safe out there, everybody. Good night.
Good night.